Hi. Hello. I'm just going to open up my Patreon stream in case somebody's talking to me there. Guess what? It's Tuesday. It's Tarot and Tea Tuesday. So, and it's my second time at live streaming. I'm enjoying being in this space in particular. This is where I work from. This is my desk space. So I feel very comfortable here. And if you can see what I'm seeing, I get a view of my library, my workbench, and in the background, the rest of my household. So I feel very comfortable here. I'm really enjoying doing live streams from here on my webcam. So something else I wanted to introduce, I've started doing something called Pay the Rent, which is a way I can contribute money on a regular basis to a not-for-profit organisation that delivers that money to people with First Nations connections to the land that I live on, in particular my area, so it can go by postcode. And my payment came out today and it made me think, oh, you know what? I should just include that I would like to acknowledge the land that I work on and live on. It is traditionally belonging to the Woiwurrung, the Murrumbalek of the Woiwurrung people, the Kulin Nations. And I just want to acknowledge that they have the custodianship of this beautiful bit of land that I get to be on, of the land and the sky and the animals and the plants and the traditional ways of this area. And I want to pay my respect to their ancestors, past, present, and emerging. I want to also acknowledge that sovereignty was never ceded on this land, acknowledge their sovereignty to this land, and that this always was and always will be Aboriginal land. So I'm very grateful for being here. Speaking of this land, I have a plant that's just been going bananas in my front driveway. I'm not the best gardener, so if a plant goes bananas in my driveway, it means it's quite resilient and comfortable here because I'm not really supporting it that much. You can see actually the flowers there. And I'm going to drink the tea. That's our tea for today. So it's called Canary Islands Balm. It was given the name Balm of Gilead as a common name, but it's not actually the Balm of Gilead that's referred to in the Bible. It is a really aromatic plant. That's why I sat it next to me today. It's got this kind of like camphory, cedarwood, bright, like earthy, but like really bright cedarwood camphory kind of smell. And there's this like muskiness to it that's really nice as well. It's super aromatic, really, really aromatic plant. So I have brewed some up. I've got, this is my wonderful cup made by Jessie. It's a beautiful cup. Oh, there's a lot of light here today. There's one of the leaves there. I've never tried it before. I've been growing it for a few years. My sister Beck gave it to me to grow. I have never tried it, so here we go. Let's see. Okay. It's not as intense as I thought it would be from the aromatics that come off it, because it is, I mean, you can just rub against it and that smell is on you all day. It's a lot smoother than I expected it to be. It's actually really delicious. It's like, it's reminiscent of Melissa, like lemon balm, those sorts of mints, catnip as well, that kind of like gentle mintiness. But it's really nice. I think I'll be having it more often. I did a little bit of research into it. Apparently it's good for respiratory ailments because of its anti-inflammatory, antiseptic, and antibacterial properties. Not much other research has been done around it. Today I went for a big walk around the river, and I don't know, every time I'm going for a walk at the moment, maybe I'm reacting to some pollen that's in the air or just the pollution of living in a city. But I've been coughing a lot every time I go for a walk. So this might give my lungs a little bit of support and integrity. It's actually really nice. I'm going to be having a lot more of it. So the cards. I want to have a quick chat about Halloween before we get into the reading, because I live in Australia, in Melbourne, which is, in Melbourne there is quite obviously a winter and a summer, unlike the northern parts of Australia, where the seasons are quite different. And we do have the transition seasons of autumn and spring. Like, you can really notice a difference in nature, and you do get that transitional shift between summer and winter, which we're currently in spring where I am, which in the northern hemisphere, it is autumn, right? Which makes sense to celebrate Halloween, being a time where the veil is thin and you are honouring ancestors. It's a time to start reflecting inward before winter. You're drawing energy back to the home, back into your centre and into your core. And in doing that sort of self-reflective drawing in of energy, it makes sense that you would be starting to think about past and who has been before you, and reflecting on your actions and your relations from the past and things like that, and how they've affected you, and what that means to you. All of that sort of deep meaning that you find when you draw things in and look inside and down and deep. Where I am, though, there's this culture now within Australia, like Halloween's disseminated all over the world in quite a fantastic way. And I do appreciate the aesthetics of Halloween, don't get me wrong. Nightmare Before Christmas is one of my favorite Christmas stories ever. But it just feels weird. I'm in the middle of spring, like there's these beautiful flowers around and there's birds fighting with each other, and life is just really ramped up around in my area. And then I'm going past homes with like skeletons and cobwebs and all of that sort of symbolism of coming into the end of harvesting, the longer nights, and the idea of like that spooky night, dark winter sort of stuff. And meanwhile, there's like life going, hi, the days are getting longer and we're putting out all this perfume. Anyway, so my point is that while I love the idea that people are acknowledging something that has some really deep, old, traditional pagan roots, just wanted to, if you're in Australia, give you the heads up that it is an autumn festival. But in honouring the Halloweeny nature, I'm going to be working with these cards today, which are, I forgot the bit of paper. They're called the Halloween Tarot. That's the back of them. They're really cool. I got them for when my kids were younger. We used to play with them when they were kids, because they're just a lot of fun. Halloweeny cards. They're by Karen Lee, but the artist is Kipling West. They're based on the classic Rider-Waite imagery, but they're, hang on, wait, I've got to get used to this backwards thing. Oh, there we go. But there's like the whole ghouly, ghosty, pumpkin-y aesthetic of Halloween in there. And it's kind of cute because, well, there's a black cat in every picture, apparently, in every card. Pumpkins represent pentacles, which is the earth symbol. Imps represent wands, which is the fire symbol. Bats represent swords, which is the air symbol. And ghosts represent cups, which is the water symbol. So that's kind of cute as well, really weaving that Halloween aesthetic into it. But here we are. Next week, we've actually got Beltane coming up, which is, so Halloween and Beltane are like in terms of astrology, they're the midpoint. So we have like the solstices and the equinoxes and the in-between, the cross festivals, they're called. You have these two festivals, are two of the cross festivals, and they're opposite each other. So Halloween is the midpoint between the autumn equinox and the winter solstice. And Beltane, which we're having now, is the midpoint between the spring equinox, which we had last month, and the summer solstice, which we have in December. And the astrological date for that is actually November the 8th. And I just want to think about that while I'm doing this reading, that we've got Beltane coming up. Beltane, if you think about the opposite of the Halloween vibe, it is our relation to our connection to other people, our environment, the world around us, basically, because it's that if Halloween's about the energy drawing in and getting closing off and going deep and down, then Beltane is that, okay, we're kind of coming out and we're reaching out and we're feeling into the area around us and the relationships that we have around us. So Beltane was a traditional time for marriage. Beltane festivals had a lot of symbolism around blessing the land with sexual union or marriages, that sort of coming together, that relational symbolic blessing on land. And also we're in a time of Scorpio. The sun is in Scorpio, it's Scorpio season, and Scorpio is about probing and getting into probing into things. And I feel like that might help with looking deeper into our relationships. We've got a dark moon coming up, which means that the sun and the moon will both be in Scorpio in a couple of days. So yeah, it's often a hard time for me because it is that thing. If you can catch me unawares, because you do really want to get deep and probing into, how you relate to other people. But if you're unconsciously doing it, it can actually cause a few glitches and issues. It's also a very passionate time. So I feel like that is something that I can really relate to in terms of the spring energy that's around, that passionate aspect of Scorpio. But today in particular, we have our moon in Virgo, and that's about precision, which kind of ties into that probing thing, but probing and attention to detail. So maybe I want to work with that energy, this dark of the moon, to kind of tune in that Scorpio energy into something that's a bit more sort of grounded and practical and directional driven. So that's what I'm going to be thinking about with this read. There was one question that we'll look into as well as the card unfolds. Ooh, okay. We've got the Eight of Ghosts. Wow, there's a lot of light coming in. I'm so sorry. I didn't really prepare this very well. Wait, let me try something. Does that work better-ish? Kind of. Oh, there's the angle we need. Okay, this is, now let me get coordinated with the, very good at this. Please forgive me. Yeah, right. Okay, there we go. Anyway, Eight of Cups. So you can see here, we've got this, look at this moon. Look at, what is that face? That is a face of I'm a bit concerned about what's going on here, and makes me feel a bit meh, but also maybe I should do something. And then you've got all this activity happening down the bottom. So remember I was saying ghosts represent cups. There's a pool of water at the bottom of what looks like a couple of mountains there, like a valley. And there's a couple of ghosts moving up the mountain. There's a whole bunch of ghosts. They look like they're kind of bickering. Are they bickering? Just kind of I don't know, hanging out, moving around. And then there's this one in the water. Oh, there's our black cat. But here's the here's the person in the card, their backs to us. They look like they're ready for a journey. They're like, or maybe like in the midst of a journey. Yeah, this is what I'm feeling. There's in this midst of a journey that's just like they're rugged up, they've got their walking stick, their walking boots on. There's this mountain coming. Perhaps there's been this little stop to contemplate or to rest by the water. So if I'm thinking about this card in terms of what we've just talked about, I wonder if like what we really need to be doing is just to stop and have a bit of a reflective moment in our journey, this busy time of spring. Just stop for a minute and take a look into that pool, into that, head down to the bottom of the valley, which is that internal deep part, which is reflected in our opposite, which is Halloween at the moment. If you're in Australia, if not, well, you're right there in that vibe. But like, just stop and have a look at maybe not so much where you're at, but what you're moving towards and what's connected to you and guiding that movement, which is that relational energy that I was talking about before. What is happening around you and how is that influencing you on an emotional level? And how are those emotions then influencing your processing and your decision making and your actions? That's what I feel like this card is sort of saying. There's a lot happening around. There's a lot happening around, but there's this sensation of movement, like, you know, because there's the journey vibe going on with the image of this person here, and the mountain to climb. So it feels like there's this stuff that's coming. There's this stuff that's coming that requires energy, that requires a bit of foresight, a bit of planning. And now is the time to just stop for a minute and go, okay, before I get into that, how am I going to execute this to best honor how I'm feeling, what's going on around me, and what I'm bringing with me, I guess. Like, so some of these are going up into that journey, it looks like. One is staying in the reflective aspect, and then there's these others that perhaps are being left behind. I'm kind of feeling that. This image of the moon at the top here, I'm sort of seeing that as that I'm feeling into that, like it's this idea of judgment that we can have on ourselves. We can be pretty harsh on ourselves as opposed to how we might be with other people. And I wonder if this externalization of that image is about doing that to yourself, like just take away that judgment, hang it somewhere, because it might be useful. Hang it somewhere in the sky amongst the stars. But just because, see, this image here is like proper head down, like rugged up, ready to go. Once you've looked into how you're feeling and what your journey has been like and where you might like it to go and how it's being influenced by those around you, once you've had a look at that, then just shut everything off, get your bearings, shut everything off and just go. This will always be hanging around. This discerning aspect of yourself will always be there. But yeah, it's time to just stop. The question I got was, how can I stop and think before I open my mouth? There you go. Inner reflection, just reflection in terms, I mean, that's one of those big things, but reflection in terms of how do you want to relate to the world around you? How would you like, what are the best examples of how you want to relate to the world around you? What places, what people, what foods, what activities, what art, what music, what makes you really want to connect with the world? And then that is the basis for what you don't want. You can look at the opposite of that and go, okay, that's something that I don't want. And then how to stop and think how we express ourselves in terms of how we relate to others is to go, okay, is this something that I do want or something that I don't want? Actually, like stopping and categorizing the relationship before you interact with it. Is this something I want or is this something that I don't want? Because in that moment of stopping, you're actually taking a breath and you're taking a moment to think. And the first thing that wants to come out will be that kind of like unconscious, almost protective, repelling kind of or alluring communication. But if you allow that to bubble up, but just be part of your internal thought, then when you actually speak, you've had that moment, that one beat to just go, I'm about to tell this person to fuck off because I actually don't want them in my life. Is that what I really want to do? And then you just had that moment. Is that someone I want in my life? No, it's not. That's why I want to tell them to fuck off. Oh, well, if it's not someone I want in my life, I don't really care what they think. So I could say that. I could not say that. I could just smile and walk away. I could tell them to fuck off and never see them again. But you've had that moment to kind of like think about what that relationship is. If it's someone you do want in your life, it might bubble up that you go, oh, fuck, I love you. Oh my God, I need you right now. And that might be too intense for the person in front of you. And that's the natural reaction. But if you bring that up and go, oh my God, I'm so excited. I want to tell that person how excited I am. Why? Is that someone I want in my life? And if that is someone you want in your life, you can go, grand, yes, that's who I want in my life. And why I'm feeling so excited is because I really love them and I want them to know that I really appreciate them and love them. And then you've had a moment and that's what comes out of your mouth. Whereas if it's someone you don't want in your life, sometimes these wires can get crossed over if you don't sort of stop and take that moment, or you can say something that you might regret saying or that comes out wrong because things get like it's like that, you know, things are taken over by an emotion rather than by intention and choice. So anyway, that's how I would answer that question relating to this wonderful card that we got. The Eight of Cups. Thank you. Thanks to the Canary Islands for your balm. That's been delicious. And thanks for watching.